Before I start this recording, I wanted to let everyone know that we were given a early copy of the text of this book to kind of go over, review, and possibly promote with the upcoming Kickstarter. I think we were pretty unbiased in our assessments, but you may think otherwise, and wanted to make sure that you kept that in mind so you could make your own decisions. All right, and on to the recording. Hi, I'm Keegan. This is A Bunch of Gamers. We're doing something different today. We're going to be doing character creation for The Worlds Below, coming soon onto Kickstarter, or when this episode comes out, is on Kickstarter. If it is, I'll put the link in the description below. And I'm here with some players, and I'd like them to introduce themselves before we get started.
Hello, I'm Claire Strickland, and I have technical difficulties. I do a little bit of writing for Adventure Week games in 5th edition, Pathfinder 1st edition, and Starfinder, and I'm also the author of the Handbook of Heroes webcomic. It's a pleasure to be here with you fine people.
Hi, I'm George. I play Werewolf with Keegan and the crew for A Bunch of Gamers. I have played a bunch of other tabletop games in the past, and I'm looking forward to sharing my experience with this game.
Dagote Shi JF Zambrano Gonce. Hello, my name is JF Zambrano. Everyone here can call me James, that's fine. And I do a lot of work with Onyx Path Publishing, and I've worked with Renegade Game Studios and various other studios. And I think this is actually my first play testing I've ever done, so I'm really excited about it.
Hey everybody, I'm Joe, or Joey, my pronouns are she, her, and I've done some, I had my own podcast, my friends and I had another podcast of actual play, but I'm new to A Bunch of Gamers, so I'm happy to be here, and I just dabble here and there as well in being in other people's podcasts, so, hi.
Hello, my name is Thomas. I play Werewolf the Apocalypse with Keegan and George, and I also dabble in a few other game systems in my free time.
So we're doing character creation, like I said, and we're going to kind of go through this. And this game is using the Storypath Ultra system. And so what that means is it's kind of a broken down version of what you'd see in Scion, in Trinity Aeon, and even the They Came From series. But how you guys are going to do it is that you basically will craft 3 distinct paths. The 3 paths in this game are Dawn, which is kind of like a mixture of, from other game systems, that would be like your fantasy ancestry, your background, because that includes like where you grew up, what guilds or trades you've learned, and kind of like this uses your dogma, which is essentially alignment from other games. You select that, and each one of those smaller fragments gives you something. Then you create your dialectic, which is kind of like how your character relates to the world below. And it's kind of the skills you've picked up surviving as a dungeoneer, essentially. And then your final path is your calling, which is, in most other games, essentially your character class. Then one of these paths will be your major path, which will give you higher bonuses, and the other 2 will be minor paths, which means the bonuses just aren't as high. So if for some reason all 3 of you felt real strongly about the exact same Dawn, dialectic, and calling, you could do that, and then you could all choose different paths to be your major paths, and your characters would all still be unique stat-wise for that. And so, kind of kicking it off for some context to the Dawn paths, the world below is kind of this post-apocalyptic fantasy world. The world above, or the surface world, has been wiped out in some sort of cataclysm. No one really knows what it was or can remember. The information has kind of been lost, and many peoples have come down to sort of survive. Some had made deals with the indigenous people of the world below, and some have actually pushed indigenous members of the worlds below out of their ancestral homes. This world is also kind of chaotic. There are bubbles of stability, and during those bubbles stay there, and then your characters go out, you adventure, you find hidden places, tombs of things that sunk from the world above, and the like. And then what is called the calm, which is kind of like in other games, like OSR games, stronghold building. The world below essentially reshuffles, and those bubbles can move up, down, laterally in the strata, so however long it took to get from one town to another can actually change between calms, which is also where you expend experience. So, any questions so far going into this? So, we'll go into ancestries then. Ancestries are kind of like the fantasy species of other games. The difference, though, is it's not fully tied to species. Like, you could be a human raised with our first one here called the Darv, and you would get all the benefits of being a Darv. Or you could be a Darv raised by the Elv, and same difference. But these are kind of generic kind of things for that. So, for example, a Darv is essentially in other games a dwarf. They have beards, they have stony skin, and will get like bright colored tattoos of mineral veins along them that will even glow in the dark. You have the elf, which are essentially fantasy elves. They have a couple slight changes from like your standard D&D, which is kind of interesting. The Entisa, which are essentially lizard folk. Hobgob, which are goblins and orcs and hobgoblins all mixed into kind of one ancestry. Humans, and Makiru, who are these kind of like people who are rodent people. And when they're born, they're just rats. And as they go through adolescence, they grow rapidly and become humanoid rat people. Your ancestry really just determines how you generate a stat in this game called momentum, which can be used to augment rolls, make rolls better, or even change the environment or declare things about the environment once you've generated enough. Let's just kind of go through for that. Going through everyone, what kind of ancestries are folks thinking of doing?
I was looking at human.
Okay.
What were the lizard folk called? What was their name?
The lizard folk, they are called the Entisia.
Oh, right. I was just saying that I like to plumb the depths of the weirdness of a setting, and lizard folk are usually pretty unconventional. So I'm always interested in trying to figure out what their cultures look like, so I'll go with that.
Okay, sounds good. Well,
Yeah, I was indecisive on my choice for a little bit, but I think I'm gonna go with the Darv.
okay, excellent.
I was kind of waiting to see what everyone else was interested in, because I had a few that looked exciting to play to me, but with the choices everyone else has picked, I'm going to try the Makiru.
Excellent. How
That was my second choice.
about you, Joe?
Yeah, I don't mind changing it if you wanted it.
No, I'm good. I chose human for a reason.
Okay.
I just was saying that looked really nice too.
As we all know, ancestries are like clothing at a party. If you match, someone has to change. It's been like that since D&D's inception. You can't have two dwarves in the same party.
I'll take Antisia, probably.
Okay, perfect. So we got those. So we'll go through via the documents. So Thomas is a Darv, and I think there's a spot in the character sheet for, momentum generator. You get to choose one from the, here's some ideas. I figure that's easier than creating one, unless you have one that you really want to kind of do that's not quite one of these, but in the same spirit, is Darv. Discover an unexplored cavern fit for temporary or permanent habitation. Improve the attitude of a Darv related to your family. Locate the trail of a new beast. receive a new tattoo depicting one of your ancestors' deeds, or use a tool or relic you have not experienced before. One sounds kind of interesting to you, Thomas.
Probably the first one, discovering an unexplored cavern, because I think that fits the vague character idea that I have.
Perfect. So now we'll go down for Joe and Claire, as the Antisa, or lizard folk, have a couple good momentum generators. The first one is bring peace, at least temporary, to a settlement's internal feud. Craft and adorn an artifact bearing your family's heraldic scale pattern. Discover lost or unknown lore related to the world below. Make the leader of another community or settlement a contact, or successfully encourage others to acclaim or celebrate your family's deeds.
So these momentum generators, are they like... I think I will try to craft and adorn an artifact bearing my family's heraldic scale pattern.
Okay, excellent. And Claire, which one kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, I would like to do make the leader of another community or settlement a contact.
Perfect. Got that one. And I think you guys will have fun with them. There is more on the ancestries, more deep dive that you guys can look at a later time in chapter or in document 08, which kind of covers the ancestries in more depth. I love this ancestry because some of them are just lizard people, some have arms and a snake tail, and some have no limbs, they're just snake people, and they use contraptions to give them arms. Kind of neat. All right, let's go down the list.
I love that very much, in the same way that every Dragonborn ever always wants to declare, as a matter of personal significance, whether they have a tail or not. Figuring out how snaky you are seems like a wonderful element of self-expression.
Agreed. All right, George, for humans, the momentum generators for humans are, as examples, devise a new technology to ease the struggle of a settlement or community. Inspire hope in a defeated party. Rescue someone from lethal peril. Successfully remove someone else's negative status effect. Write down the events of your last quest.
I would like to write down the events of your last quest if this was an ongoing campaign, since that sounds like it would be a very powerful momentum generator. But I think I'm going to go with successfully remove someone else's negative status effect for this one shot.
Okay, perfect. And for the Makiru, James, there is calm a chaotic crowd by invoking the importance of the next generation, convincing a member of the company or artificers to become a contact, design a new form of ranged weapon, ideally involving fire, discover an entombed Mikiru nest in the world below, start up an impressive fire in a cave to draw or scare away life.
I had a hard time picking here, and I think I'm going to settle on designing a new form of ranged weapon with fire.
Perfect. They do seem to be encouraging a very specific mode of play with this ancestry.
The other one I was trying to decide if I was going to pick was the start up the impressive fire.
Excellent. All right, so next is communities and settlements. As I said, there are bubbles of relative stability in the worlds below, and these kind of places are things that kind of affect your character and how they grow up, what kind of skills they pick up based on the culture of that community. Now, if you're choosing ancestry as your primary path, then your skills will be higher from this. If you're deciding on a different path to be your major, then you hold off and you do the minor path. Or if you're not sure which is going to be your major or your minor path, you can actually make them all minor. And then at the end of character creation, you choose which one is major based on the character that's coming to your mind. So if you have very strong opinions, we can jump into major right away. If not, we can just assume minor until you tell me otherwise.
I like
So-
this.
Yeah. Editing booth Keegan here, just letting you know that what happened here is I read off all the settlements and are now going back through. So I'll inject what was basically said so you have a general idea of what everyone's picking. With that, what kind of settlements are people thinking of?
Are we all from the same settlement, or it doesn't matter?
It does not matter because people tend to travel in the world below, and because you have a dialectic path, that kind of supposes that you've at least traveled in the world below.
Okay.
So what was that very first one? I believe it was the Defenders of the Well.
What Claire was asking about here was called the Beria. I'll mispronounce it later because I have the pronunciation guide in front of me this time. And this is a group of intoxicated brewers that are also well-known raiders of the vast underneath. They're chaotic. They reinforce the power of the well, which is called the well below, and it gives off radiating chaos energies throughout this world, and that energy is fought after and sought after, but is controlled by powerful well liches. So these are kind of a hodgepodge group of misfits and outcasts who embrace their synthesis and tend to enjoy elemental strength, and like I said, raid to reinforce the power of the well. Those guys get close combat, larceny, and survival, and so those would be, so you'd mark that and you'd put in the the line next to it, you'd write Dawn. So for close combat you'd put Dawn and then 1 dot.
It fits my concept pretty close. I wanted to be this digging type person who is always trying to look for new spores to make more interesting potions. So it seems spot on. How do you spell the name of the settlement?
Spelled B-U-R-A.
Is Fortress the one that you said is like a dictatorship?
Yeah, it's like warriors go there, they build their thing, and they go, fuck the well, fuck the void. All you can trust is your own strength.
Yeah, I'll pick the Fortress.
Okay, do Fortress, and I'll go down and grab you your stuff.
I think I'm slowly making Lae'zel from Baldur's Gate 3.
Perfect.
That's perfect because Lae'zel is the best character from Baldur's Gate.
Okay. Well, I'm a Gale defender, so...
So for Fortress, you get close combat, range combat, and technology. And so you'll put Dawn next to all those and put 1 dot in there. Who do we got next?
I think I want to go with Mudtown.
Mudtown is a more skyward city where everyone chips in, everyone helps one another. It's very community-based. It lacks a kind of hierarchy, and you'll notice throughout the recording that there are several communist jokes about it. It is a place where people come together, but it is in danger because sometimes giant bugs come through and wreck the town. Mudtown, right under. Perfect. You get empathy, larceny, and survival. Not 2 more.
Yeah, I am torn between Mudtown and Telver's Hearth, so I might need a moment.
Okay. How about you, James?
I'm trying to decide between 3. The ones I'm looking at are Chilzel,
Okay.
the Fortress also, and Oriasis.
Okay.
I'm just trying to like narrow down the vibes I want to be going for because those are all pretty distinct.
No, that's true.
Join
Yeah.
us. Come to the Fortress.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, I'll be the Fortress with you.
All right. Perfect.
Okay. Let's go.
It's because
Alright.
she mentioned your Baldur's 3 crush, isn't it?
It's that, and also because I'm very easily convinced. All you had to say was join us. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. All right.
In that case, I think I'm going to go with Mudtown.
So the military
Yeah.
dictatorship and the communists making a party together.
A party, you say?
I think we've been here before. Do you need me to reread those skills for you, James Thomas?
Oh, I'm good.
I got them written down already.
So next is your dogma. And dogma is basically what you believe. Dogma is going to be way more important in long-running games than this one-shot, because this game makes it so that you create short-term and long-term motivations, and when you achieve those motivations, you get experience. And once everyone has accomplished their motivations, everyone gets an additional experience. And that's to encourage the group to work together to make sure that everyone gets their goals achieved in cooperation. So this isn't as important for what we're doing here, but I figure it will be something to flavor your character. Dogma, the Church of Glothon, and they're throughout the world below. Their faith demands that they offer mercy to the wicked and relief to the afflicted. They believe their deity is within the soil and the stone. These beliefs lead many to act recklessly, especially in service to others, as they feel the world itself will protect them. Dogma, Fortuna. The key element of the Fortuna worship are to assist those suffering from misfortune, to hold those with great luck in awe, and to bring low those who would abuse their good fortune. The last is where the church is at its most militant, as casters strongly believe good luck is only for the deserving. They despise the well-liches, grasp on power, and their refusal to share it. Dogma, the Hades Tract. A diverse philosophical group, the Hades Tract, believe they're already dead, and so is everyone else in the world below. It's not a hard belief system to grasp, even though the Hadeans do little to evangelicalize for their new followers. Their argument is that the world below is a vast afterlife, and that the fleeting memories of the world above were the lives they once lived under a radiant, nourishing sun. Now they're condemned to the world below, where they'll only find salvation by enduring and overcoming the challenges of the gods, the environment, and other torments of the souls put their way. Dogma, the lords and ladies of rot. A rare, dangerous breed. They believe entirely that the Exodus was in defiance of nature's plan. They say the original inhabitants of the world below, the Hemexi, the Iprians, the Hypogonian, the Herald, and others are the only people to deserve the place in the vast underneath, and everyone else is an intruder. They serve the god kings known as the Lord and Ladies of Rot. Though no one outside of the Vrat appear to have met them, the Vrat claim to encounter these ancient nobles in lost cities and temples, and it's there that they gain benefit of such self-destructive wisdom. Their tenets are simple: erase every intruder from skyward to wellward, lay the foundations for the Lord and Ladies of Rot to occupy their thrones, eliminate yourself in holy sacrifice once the work is done. I have a feeling everyone should choose that one, or no one should choose that one for group cohesion. The Temple of the Benevolent Earth. The temple sees it as their role to sacrifice great things to the well below, primarily rare minerals, root out heresies, other faiths, especially when they dogmatically believe the world below is a hellish place, and channel the world's benevolence, helping communities and people come to understand life within this environment is not bad. They're dubious about the spiritual importance of the well, seeing it as a corrupting element in what could otherwise be a utopia, and others work to stymie its power through the world below. Well worship. Pretty self-explanatory. Well keepers are a rare and troubling group. They fanatical in their devotion to the well and its offerings. To be a well keeper is to keep yourself fully to the great source of power, and basically eschewing experimenting with chaos in favor of seeking out the well itself. So, what dogmas are speaking to people?
Which one did you say? We should all take it, or none of us should take it?
The Rot.
Lord and Ladies of Rot.
Yeah, the Lord and Ladies of Rot.
Which will be interesting, because I don't think any of us chose the indigenous communities. So essentially we'd be like
You're a
kill
suicide
everyone
cult.
until we're the last ones left, and then kill ourselves.
Yep.
That would be unconventional. I don't know. I kind of like this Temple of Benevolent Earth business. It sounds like a simple approach to this well.
Okay. So, like I said, this is less important, but I'll kind of give you what that means. The Temple of the Benevolent Earth, that means that you'll see on the character sheet there are short-term aspirations and long-term aspirations. These are just some suggestions, but this is how your character would generate experience. Is one, for short-term, they give the example of acquiring a new weapon and bless it in honor of the worlds below. Provide aid to someone wounded, or share your belief with a non-believer. And then long-term aspirations can include consecrate a new temple in a remote spot, spread your faith to a new settlement, sacrifice a meaningful mineral or beast to the world below.
I think I'm gonna go with the Hades tract.
All right.
Okay,
Oh, no.
I believe that we're already dead and this is all an afterlife.
Who's next?
I'm actually leaning towards the Church of Golthon.
Perfect. Okay.
And I think the aspiration I'll pick is find a new source of food or water.
Perfect. And what about long term?
Oh, long term, probably make an uninhabitable cavern habitable.
Perfect. Love it.
I think I'm gonna go with the well worship.
Oh, okay. What a contradiction to your humble roots in Mudtown. I can't wait to see how your character views their home.
George, we're supposed to be communists.
Well, it was either that or the Church of Golthon, and I don't want to play the same character as you. Which I know is, like, we don't have to, but I was
gonna say,
also looking at...
You could have done the Church of Fortune, or Fortuna. That smug rich person needs to be taken down a peg.
That's also fair, but I also really wanted to play with spells, and
Okay.
I think well worship kind of plays well into that.
Okay.
Hey,
So you'll do the well worship.
So I think I'm going to add a chaos rock to my outfit,
Okay.
and then learn more about my predecessors as my long term.
Excellent. I will have to do some note taking this weekend and this week to create a coherent adventure, I feel. Excellent. All right. How about you, James?
I also was very aware of the compatibility between the Fortress and the Hades tract, so I'm going to go with that one too.
All right. Perfect. All right. Now we're on to our last one, which is Guild. Guild is more of just kind of like a basic training. You don't actually have to be part of these guilds. It's more of just the guild that has had the most influence in your life. So, and this will determine your attributes. Like I said, if right now I'll just give you the minor path benefits until you decide Dawn is your major path. So, going there, the guild is the company of artificers. They like to craft, fabrication. They're crafters, things like that. Mainly those who make large and essential items such as boats, carts, wagons, etc. The next one is the excavators and explorers collectives. Craft people who dig to make. They delve into various tunnels, look for new things, build new settlements, fortify, improve existing ones. The kitchen. Gastrovore explorers who try and find new and interesting things to eat for settlements. The moths are a merchant's guild which travel the world below, paying high prices for the color. They live to obtain more of it, valuing it above people, though every moth habitually cooperates with other moths rather than competing. To a moth, the color refers to precious minerals. Just what's precious may vary, but it's always a specific rock, gem, or rock dust. The union of cartographers and stratigraphers. You kind of map makers and historians who seek to map the entire world below with precision. As chaos storms, cave-ins, and other events constantly change what's below, their work is never completed. So, which
Okay,
one of
so-
these guilds? Oh,
I knew the moment it got mentioned in the ancestry section that I wanted to do the Company of Artificers.
perfect. All right. So, as a company of, so if you look at your character sheets, everyone, you'll notice that the attributes are kind of clumped together. So, intellect, cunning, and resolve are what are called mental attributes. Might, dexterity, and stamina are collectively known as physical attributes, and presence, manipulation, composure are collectively known as social attributes. And with the Company of Artificers, right now, if you choose the minor path, you get 2 additional dots for mental and 2 additional dots for physical to spread around. Claire, the kitchen, you get 1 additional dot to mental and 3 additional dots to physical to divide amongst your 3 physical.
So I'm kind of stuck between 2, and this is where I don't mind asking for other people's thoughts on it. I either want to try and do the Excavators and Explorers Collective, so that way I'm going out and exploring, or I would be doing the Union of Cartographers and Stratigraphers. Stratigraphers. But which one? I'm thinking the Stratigraphers would make more sense if I'm doing, sorcery with a chaos. But
Sure.
if
And-
I'm also
well,
but
also
if I'm
you're
doing
looking
physical,
for-
then the
I was going to say you're looking
ahead.
for the well, too.
yeah.
So,
That's why I went with both the Excavators and Explorers, or the Stratigraphers and Cartographers.
yeah.
So
I think I'm gonna go with the moths.
The moths. Okay. All right. And did we get you, Thomas?
No, I was actually gonna go with the Excavators and Explorers.
All right. The excavators and explorers. We'll move on to the next thing. So now we're on to your dialectic. So they give 3 sentences in to kind of help explain what it is. And it's, what does the world below want from me? How far will these changes go? What synthesis does my spirit possess? Editing booth Keegan here again. Just gonna interject when they choose their paths to give maybe a summary if that gets lost after I delete the long readings, as I don't want to give the whole book away, and, well, I don't think I'm all that interesting to listen to while reading. Okay, so the dialects are Admas, Elemental, Myceli, Plutonic, and Quabaka, and Scarab. So these are basically how you connect to the world below. So, yeah. Any questions? Any ones that sound interesting based on my
I think I'm going with Elemental.
elemental?
God damn it.
You both can be elemental.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I might actually go Myceli.
Okay, so for the elementals sounds exactly like what it is. It is their connection to the elements of the world below, and this gives them synthesis powers regarding like earth, fire, and things of that nature. You get 1 dot in close combat, science, and survival. So mark that
This is-
with dialectic.
Dialectic. What if we already have survival?
Then it gets both.
Okay.
It just has both attached to it. Yep. And you get 1 additional dot to split amongst your mental attributes, and 3 additional dots to split amongst your physical attributes.
I suppose I'll go with Myceli.
All right, so we got 2 Myceli. So we'll go down the Myceli path. Myceli. So yeah, they commune with fungus, so that sounds on brand. How about you, Joe?
What's the vibe of the bug lizard?
Well, it's the scarab, and the scarab, let me go down to it.
I was looking at the Pluto thing. Oh, fuck, I forgot the name.
The Plutonic?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I don't know. Tell me about
the scarab.
bug
The
lizard.
scarab one is it a thing of wonder or horror to wake up one morning and find yourself able to hear the words and thoughts of the bugs in the walls around you? Is it a dream or a nightmare to find your shoulder blades sprouting wings? To many, It would be a horror from which there could be no recovery. To a scarab, the metamorphosis is a process of hope and rebirth. To find yourself blessed with this dialectic is to be blessed with the supreme form of adaptation, whether physical, mental, or spiritual. Scarabs have always been wise beetles, and so humanoids with scarab dialectics are granted their own kind of attuned wisdom.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Platonics.
Okay. I like how after that dramatic reading, oh yeah, fuck that.
Could you do a dramatic version of like pitching me the Platonics to like so I can fully grasp what that is?
So you can fully grasp it, okay.
I kind of read enough to get that I choose it, but
Oh yes. What foul ruin must a person experience to possess something of the abyss within them? Is it enough to be born proximate to that hellish void? Or is it something in their temper, their parentage, or their destiny that condemns them to the plutonic experience? To be plutonic is to be feared, but with it, respected. The abyss clings to you like a cloak, but it is no shadow born of the dark. This is an emptiness, an absence of life as well as, or an absence of life as well as light. And within that vacuum you are born, thoughts, secrets, and monsters terrifying to those not a part of this adaptation.
Alright, sure.
So, you're gonna go Plutonic?
That's a yes.
That's a
I
yes,
nodded.
okay. Sorry, I didn't. And then we get to the final path, which is called Calling, but I know that Claire has somewhere to be, and I know it's very late where Joe is, so.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. I was just hoping for a little advice between Alchemist and the other one, Chaosist. I'm trying to do this like weird fungal shaman-y type thing.
I would do the Alchemist then, I think. I think that would fit better.
Sold.
And then, yeah, so. And then you just gotta choose out of your 3 paths which one's your major.
Are we now going to do the calling?
We are
before
going to do the
start
callings. So,
Okay.
yeah. So we're doing the callings, and just had Claire pick hers first because she's gotta bounce sooner than everyone else.
Okay.
I was joking internally that this session will either last as long as a typical episode of Werewolf or as long as my interview with James. Who knows?
Was that 4.5 hours? Is that how long that went?
Yeah, almost 5, yeah. So the Alchemist, that is one that Claire already picked, but it's basically learning Alchemist tells you the study of life as a cycle, breathing vitality into a corpse, turning base metals into more valuable minerals, etc. It is your connection to those kind of elements. Farsighter is basically the Farsighters in tune with the world below. Held up as settlement chiefs, champions of their people. To be a Farsighter is to be honored. So basically kind of, almost a diviner. And almost a druid kind of thing. So yeah, diviner, empaths, paladins is sometimes used for them. Then we go down. Holy. Holies are workers of the faith. They're kind of like clerics. And use their powers in that regard. Hunter. They're basically world below rangers. Chaosist is almost like a sorcerer. Yeah, sorcerer, wizard. They're connected to the primal energies that beat through the worlds below. Silhouette is they're basically rogues. And those are the callings.
I'm an Antissa, but I have not had a single physical bonus. Is that fine?
Yeah, because one of these you're going to choose to be your major path, and all of them usually have at least some physical dots.
Okay, cool.
Didn't Fortress come with physical dots?
I was gonna say, I think some minor paths don't. Yeah, I think most minor paths don't provide dots to every single attribute.
Yeah, so
it's the major that provides to every.
Yeah, so once you pick your major, you'll get some physical.
Okay.
What's everyone else thinking?
I'm thinking I might go Silhouette.
Silhouette? Okay, perfect. if you're going with the silhouette, that's easy because I'm right down here. You get the skills of larceny, athletics, and ranged combat. And you get 3 dots to divide amongst your physical and 1 dot amongst your social.
All right.
I'm thinking hunter then.
Okay. You get close combat, pilot, and survival.
I'm gonna go with the holy, and
The holy.
I'm gonna say that I'm a what is it called? A Dao cultist of the Hades tract.
Perfect. That is perfect. So, as a member of... And then it's just up... we'll start with Claire. Claire, which path are you thinking of making your major path?
For my path, well, this is tough. I kind of want, as I kept thinking about this, I kind of want to look at close combat. They think they're the master manipulator, but really they're just this big dumb mook whose moves are all very obvious. I want this character to be a lumberjack. They cut down mushroom trees by putting these long saw blades all up and down their body. They have no arms or legs. They are simply a snake person. They coil around the mushroom stalk and chop it down like a living saw. They're trying to spread their influence of their home territory by saying that, hey, look, you're this area, it's rich in all these wonderful fungi that I've found. I'd be happy to spread them for you for a small fee, sign this contract. That's what I'm trying to go for. Okay. So what should I do if I'm looking at kitchen, myceli, and alchemist, and I want to go a kind of a dumb mook?
Okay, so let me see. With alchemist, I think you want to... So... Because thankfully, there's mental abilities beyond intelligence, so you might just dump into...
Like cunning or something?
Yeah, cunning, because there's cunning and then there's resolve. So let's see, let's go up to alchemist real quick. I'm just moving around, trying to get everything.
Because if I were to... Can I make my ancestry my primary path?
Yeah, you can make your dawn. So that'd be dawn. So your mate...
Okay.
Your major path is dawn, and so that means that you actually get... So remember how community settlement got 1 dot in all those abilities?
Yes.
You now have 3 additional dots to divide amongst those 3 abilities.
Okay, well, what if I put him into close combat and leadership? So I'm manipulative and I'm a big brute.
That works. So you could put 2 in close combat and 1 in leadership, or however you want to do the split.
That seems brilliant. Sold.
All right, and then if we go down, because you get a couple more bonuses. So we go down and we go to your guild. Your guild also gets stuff. And your guild... what was your guild? It was the...
My guild was the kitchen, because I want to find strange new spores and make interesting potions.
Perfect. So now you get 2 additional dots to split amongst your mental, 2 additional dots to split amongst your physical, and you gain an additional 2 dots in social. The last thing, just so, Claire, you can do this off recording, is there's another chapter. It is chapter 06, Theseus and Synthesis. That means that you get 8 dots to put in Theseus and 5 dots to put in Synthesis and 3 dots to put in Chaos Sorcery. Because there's just so many options, we'll be here much longer.
Okay, I'll go through it on my own time, but I do got a jet now. Guys, This sounds like a really cool game. It's dripping in flavor, and I love this underworld theme.
Excellent. So, you heard it here.
Brilliant, and I'll try to have my sound system figured out next time. Thanks for your patience, guys.
Perfect. Hi, Claire.
See you, Claire.
Hello.
Bye, Claire.
All right, so
I'll make it my calling.
your calling. Okay, if you make it your calling, and you were a holy, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a holy, that means that you get an additional 2 attribute dots across the board.
Anywhere?
So you get 2 additional in your mental, 2 additional in your physical, and 2 additional in your social. Finally, and then on top of that, you get an additional 3 dots to divide amongst those. And this also means that you will get 7 dots to put in your Theseus, 5 dots to put in your Synthesis, and you get 4 dots for Chaos Sorceries. All right, James, George, Thomas, what kind of major path are you guys looking at?
I think I'm going Major Dawn.
Okay, perfect.
'Cause that's the one that emphasizes my guild, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I think that's probably the most critical part of the roleplay direction I'm going for, so I'm going to do that.
Awesome. Huh?
And what's my party?
That's this group. You guys can come up with the cool...
That's us.
Yeah.
Your best friend.
You can come up with a sweet adventuring name. Given the format of this party, it might be, what is it?
Bronies.
The burning? Is that what you said?
Very much not. I said
I didn't hear you.
bronies, which was a
Oh,
very...
bronies. The
certainly
burning
a very
bronies.
relevant joke. A very current joke.
I was going to say, given the compilation of horrible authoritarians and communists, you could name your group the State and the Revolution.
Oh, God. Am I the state and you guys are the revolution? Wait,
That's Lenin's book
James.
on communism.
Yeah, right.
We just need
Well,
to seize the means of production for every pony.
Oh my god.
Okay, so, and Thomas, what do you think in your your major path is gonna be?
I was gonna make the major path my calling.
Okay, perfect.
Um,
And you were the silhouette, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna choose Alchemist
Okay.
because I didn't actually choose my calling
Oh,
yet.
you didn't do your calling yet? Okay, cool.
No. And then I think I'm gonna do my calling as my
Major
major
path?
path.
Okay, perfect. Final thing is that the players also get 3 additional skill dots to put wherever they want them to. Forgot to say this part out loud to everyone, so here it is. Now that we've gotten kind of towards the tail end of things, I will give my thoughts at the end, but I'll just kind of round robin people's thoughts on the character creation system, how easy it is once you kind of pick up on things. So we'll start with George. What are your thoughts on the character creation system so far?
Once you sit down and actually read through it, it's pretty straightforward. I kind of like it, especially with how you did it where the minor path is the base, and then at the end of character creation you choose your major. All you do is just add a few more dots and you're good to go.
Yeah, and I think that's suggested once again, it's at the tail end of the character creation section. I kind of hope that's closer to the top, closer to publication. Fair enough. Joe, I know you were taking notes like a champ.
I took one note and then I was done. But no, I just well, I like the bunch of dice thing, and and one thing I specifically didn't like was that there were too many communities and settlement choices. I think I like that there's so many locations, and that's good for lore and world building. Also, once you're the GM, like coming up with where to go, and then the fact that the places have their own lore can help you with coming up with ideas for the session. I think for character creation, maybe they could be grouped, and maybe there could be like categories of community and settlements or something. I don't know right now what the perfect solution is. I just don't want to be like, I don't like this, and then that's it. I want to at least try to give a solution or a suggestion.
My thought was, what I really wish is that it just started with a quick like 1-sentence pitch of what it was.
Yeah. Yes. There is the quotes, which is nice, but not good enough. Sorry.
No, fair.
This is more. Yeah, I needed a bit more. I guess I don't want them to just get rid of a bunch of communities and settlements. So I guess maybe they could like group some of them, and like for example, they could have like a type of community or settlement that's like these ones like more, I don't know, art focused or fucking whatever. I don't know. and these are the attributes and whatever bonuses you get for this kind of them. And then once you want to actually build your backstory and whatever more, and then there's like, here are the actual communities or settlements that fall under this category, and then
Sure.
hey, I don't know, whatever they want to do, whatever.
Sure.
I mean, there was one issue, but that's purely because it's still a document, a Word document, or a Google document, which is that it was just like when you were scrolling, it was hard to find like when
What
one
you
thing
need,
ended,
yeah.
another started. But that's fine. This is still
that's-
work in progress.
What did you think about maybe as you build your character? Did the system really help you? I guess this will go to everyone actually, because it's a good question to ask. Did the character creation, once you got past like the number of choices, really help solidify your character concept as you move forward? Like, hey, I've done this, and then you start getting more ideas, and so it makes you more like it solidified the concept you had in your mind, or made you adapt in ways that you thought were kind of fun.
Yeah, totally. This was one of this type of game is one I've liked in other games as well, which is that it's like it has a very specific world it's set in, and the options you get are sort of the limitations allow for more creativity, you know. So I got a couple of prompts here and there from the path choices, and that allowed me to come up with a character idea far easier. I feel like I did also accidentally just pick that I was gonna play Lae'zel, and then just that made it easier too. So I don't know, maybe this was rigged from the start, but yeah, I think still the path choices definitely helped.
Okay, George, based on that question, your thoughts on that?
I kind of went into this with a kind of preset notion of what I wanted to play. Some of the things that kind of stood out to me did kind of sway how I wanted to play my character. The mud town was a big one. I didn't necessarily think about the social structure until the mud town kind of came up in the book, and it does provide more flexibility. I do like the flexibility, and everything is not everything has a distinct flavor to it. Nothing is similar except a few things here or there, but even then they have a distinct flavor between each other.
But we'll move on. James, same question to you and Thomas actually, but that did the process help you kind of like solidify the character concept as we moved along?
Well, yes. And the other thing is I'm not, it's probably because I have more experience with these particular character creation systems, or at least the various versions of the Story X system that they're built on, that it didn't feel that confusing to me. It felt pretty straightforward. So it's probably not helpful criticism. But at least from someone who's played other games that have similar engines, it was actually very easy to me. My criticism is the same criticism I give all these engines, which I mentioned earlier, but in a place where we couldn't hear it, so I'm going to say it again for your recording. That I really think they should, the way the character construction should work in this style is that kind of the way you even set us up to do it, but the book doesn't, which is you fill out what your minimum stats are going to be based off your choices, and then at the very end, when you're like, okay, here's where I'm going to specialize, you add in the extra. I wish literally every system from storytelling to story path to story guide had done that, because that's what I always do with all my players anyway. It's just less confusing. The other criticism I think I have is that I thought Dawn was the most, I'm going to be a little bit opposite to Joe in that I loved that Dawn had such a variety of choices, and that like that particular set gave you so many options to build what that path was for you. And I didn't love that the other two were really simple in comparison. I wish maybe there had been some categories to choose from within them to kind of modify it the same way Dawn was, because I love multi-splat character creation where you get to pick from all these different directions and cobble together like your character. I think it's so fun. And it was, I was really excited in the Dawn section and then got kind of bored in the other two.
Fair enough. And Thomas?
Yeah, building off of that, I really enjoyed the character creation. I came into this with a kind of vague concept in mind, and as we went through the steps, I kind of ironed it out to a more precise vision of what I want the character to be. I did like that there were a lot of options for the different settlements and cultures. It definitely gives insight to how varied and diverse that the setting, the world can be. And like kind of agreeing with James, the dogma section to me felt a lot more limiting, but I think it took me a moment to realize, like, oh, my character doesn't have to like be 100% invested in these religions. They can practice those beliefs to varying degrees. And then I kind of wish there were a few more options for callings, but I think it's a good selection, but I feel like there could be maybe a few more choices.
I'm curious as if they thought it was because the chaotic sorceries, Theseus, and synthesis were ways to really make those characters pop out. But yeah, no, I think some subdivides, but also those sections came with huge, like, why am I this, that? So you're answering more questions for it. So that seems kind of interesting. We just didn't go over it here because I'm not reading an entire book. Here.
That's true. I agree. The sections for the holies and the chaosists do seem like they have a lot of niches that they could fill that I probably at a glance was probably hard for me to pick up on.
Sure, yeah. And that kind of goes into my thing. I'm curious because this game, praises for it, is character creation actually goes a lot faster in this one than it has for other story path games I've run. So that works out really well. It went way faster, and so even They Came From was pretty simple to begin with. So I'm hoping that translates to being able to go faster and faster if you have a group who kind of get used to this, like someone's able to just open up the book, find their paths, craft them, and get ready to go. Because currently, my kind of running philosophy for games is the faster it is to make characters, the more deadly the setting can be. The slower it takes to create characters, the less deadly the setting needs to be, because it's not fun to spend a couple hours making a character and have them die in 2 sessions. But if it takes like 10 seconds to make a character and they just die, and it's like, well, whatever, I'll just make another one, that's fine. And since this is trying to evoke D&D and old school D&D at that, in both the world, which I think it absolutely does in the world feels, despite the amount of magic, still feels very sword and sorcery, is the character creation time with new people, especially people who've never played this system before. I could see that becoming intimidating if there's a high mortality rate in the system. But we'll see. We'll see how it actually captures the OSR vibe, since I was reached out to specifically because I like the OSR. And so character creation, halfway there, I think. And I think it's just because we had the word document. Because the word if this was a book or a PDF, I feel like this probably would have gone a little faster, because the paths are in one chapter, the character creation's in another. And if you have a PDF, you could subdivide the path chapter into dawns to ancestries, etc. But those are my thoughts. We'll see how this game plays out next week. So wish our intrepid adventurers some luck. There's apparently some quite deadly traps in this book. Until then, we'll see you next time. Thank you everyone who listened. Catch you in the next episode. Bye.